Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp. We've got another review for you today, this time of a game called Pathway. This review was written for us by a good friend of the channel, Dave Morrish. Dave has his own channel, SavedX Gaming. I will stick a link to it in the top pinned comment. Please do go over there and have a look at his stuff. Perhaps subscribe at the same time, that would be great. Pathway is a turn-based strategy game with rogue-lite elements set in 1936. You are tasked with bringing your team of brave souls to explore the deserts, eliminating enemies and searching for treasure. I'm going to stop the review for a second there because the other day I was winding Dave up about the pun that he used in his Wonder Boy review for us, and I suggested a really bad pun for this one that he's only gone and used, which means I've got to say it now, so that's come back to bite me, hasn't it? Right, here we go. Does this game take you on the path to righteousness or the path to wrongchousness? I'm so sorry about that. Thank you to the publishing team for the review code, and now let's find out. As said before, the main gameplay revolves around grid-based strategy. You begin by selecting 3 team members from a choice of 6, and there are 10 more to unlock, each with their own weapon sets and perks. When your journey begins, you are shown the map of the desert and you point your vehicle in the direction you want to go. You have limited fuel, and at the bottom it displays how many spaces you can move. When you land on a space, a random event will occur. This could be a battle, a story event, or something nice like a shop or resting place. Some types of spaces are indicated beforehand, but if you land on a blank space it is luck of the draw. Certain story elements can have you encounter something like a tomb, and you can choose to ignore it or investigate. The game will tell you whether what you are doing is a gamble, as you could end up with a reward or have your character die. When selecting a space to move onto on the map, you need to keep hold of the left stick in the direction of that space, and sometimes it does take a while for the game to register what direction I was wanting to go in. When you initiate a battle, these play out as you would expect from this sort of game. You place your characters on the grid and the enemies are scattered around with plenty of fences and walls for you to hide behind. You get 2 main moves for each character to do, such as walking to move your character a number of spaces, using a weapon on an enemy within range, using a medkit on yourself or a teammate, along with plenty more. Once you have used all of your moves up, you press Y to end your turn. It will then be the turn of the enemy, and you keep repeating until one team remains. There is a lot of strategic thinking involved in these battles, and it does tell you how much damage certain weapons can do on certain enemies, as well as how likely it is that you'll make a successful shot of enemies that are hiding behind something. Pressing L and R will let you switch between which character you are controlling, and Z, L and ZR switches between which command you want to give. There are a number of different weapons that you can use, each with differing stats, such as snipers having a long range. Some characters will have a knife as a melee attack, and some will just have their fists. If using a gun then reloading counts as one of your moves, and this is something you may well need to be aware of, as it caught me off guard a few times. As you would expect from a game like this, there is an element of luck involved. Attacks can miss, critical hits can occur and so on, but given the odds are presented to you first, it is up to you to decide whether the risks are worth it or not. Winning a battle will land you items including more weapons, ammo, health boosters and fuel. In between battles you can bring up a menu at any time to swap out your character's equipment, refill their health or upgrade them on their separate skill trees. There is a fair bit of depth to the game, and it did feel overwhelming at first. I found it took me a few runs to really feel familiar with it, and I didn't feel it did as good a job of teaching the mechanics as Wargroove, also from Chuckle Fish, although to be fair I do believe they were on publishing duty this time and didn't actually develop this game. I mentioned at the start that there are some roguelite elements, and that's because when you get a game over, you have to begin that run again, although the characters you chose last time won't be available for the next run, and the events that occur on each space will be different from last time, as well as the layout of the battlefields. So although you are playing the same campaign with the same objective, the entire playthrough will feel different. This structure felt a bit divisive, and although I do personally like roguelites, the random events could be problematic, with so much of it coming down to chance, which made playing the battles and keeping troops happy and healthy quite difficult. Having said that though, it does contain that addictive quality that roguelites tend to have, that each time I got a game over I couldn't help but say, let's try one more time. Control wise and navigating the menus could be a little bit awkward at times. Pressing L and R to swap between the characters on the battlefield made sense, but in the menus it did disorient me to a degree, and I would have preferred to have just been able to select them at the top like with everything else. I'll touch on menus in particular a bit more in the visual section. Overall, the game has a great strategy battle system and was a lot of fun to play. The random nature of the map may put some people off, given how much of a role chance had to play, but as I improved at the game and familiarised myself with its mechanics, I found myself making more progress each turn. Gameplay gets 16 out of 20. Controls for the most part are absolutely fine, although a little bit laborious during menu sections, and they also get 16 out of 20. Pathway adopts a 16-bit art style with a top-down view. The characters and set pieces all look nice, with some vibrant colours looking appealing enough considering that there's a lot of desert in this game. Given the type of game it is, one where there are a lot of story events and strategy gameplay, there is a lot of text because of this, and when being presented with the story events, the text is displayed clearly enough and I had no problem reading it. But when the tutorial boxes appeared when first playing the game, I found these to be much too small and I really couldn't read them properly at all. I also found during the battles and menus that it was very busy and it was sometimes hard to make out what I was doing or even what I was looking at. Now there is some helpful colour coding during battles, such as when selecting to walk it will have all the squares you can reach highlighted blue, and when attacking your range is highlighted in red. I will say that playing in handheld mode was more comfortable for my eyes, even if it still wasn't the best, as after playing on the TV I felt as if squinting ever became an Olympic sport, I would have enough practice now to go for gold. Now some of you may be horrified to hear that you can kill the dogs in this game, but the developers have programmed in a dog friendly mode which is on by default, so when you take out a dog there won't be any blood or yelping, they simply teleport out of battle. When it comes to human enemies though, all bets are off, and there are some detailed animations in the attacks with some satisfactory blood effects. A lot of the grunts reminded me of the days of the N64 and shooting soldiers in GoldenEye. There are sadly some performance issues though, and I noticed this more on the maps than in battles, where the frame rate would dip as the vehicle travelled, and when loading up a story event sometimes it would take quite a while for it to arrive. I had one encounter of the game freeze on me and an error message come up during my playthrough, and every time that loading screen come up, because of this, it did give me a tense feeling, not knowing whether the game would continue to play. The music in this game fits the setting well, and it can range from a slow, almost soothing melody to having a faster tempo for more intense action. Although it does match the setting, there were times where you would get say a slower theme during what should have been an intense moment and it didn't quite merge together. Whilst visually the game does look good, having quite a high quality pixel art to it, the presentation in terms of how hard it is to make things out, plus those few performance issues that I mentioned, mean that visuals get 12 out of 20. I enjoyed the sound design overall, even though it doesn't always match what's going on in terms of the gameplay, but audio gets 17 out of 20. Pathway costs £12.99 and regional equivalents are on your screen now. For this you are getting 5 campaigns, each progressing in difficulty, and none of these will be beaten very quickly. The very nature of this game will involve you failing and retrying with slightly better stats and having a different experience each time. You have 16 characters overall, with 10 needing to be unlocked. The changing layout of the battles does mean that you are needing to adopt different strategies each time and not simply memorising enemy patterns on a particular stage. So clearly it is a game where you get a lot for your money, but when I take into account the certain issues that I had in terms of being able to see some of the text or navigate menus, it does feel like a bit more care should have been put into this. With that dent to production values in mind, value gets 15 out of 20. To conclude, Pathway is a fun and addictive turn-based strategy game that is let down by a few flaws. People that are not fans of roguelites will have decided by the first line of the review that this isn't for them, and there isn't really anything here to sway them, to be perfectly honest. As far as roguelites versions of this genre go, it does a really good job gameplay wise, and the chance element does add some excitement. Just be prepared though to do plenty of squinting and a fair bit of effort into learning how the game works, and when you get past that point you are on a pathway to a pretty good experience. Pathway gets a SwitchUp score of 76%. Thank you everybody for watching this review, I hope you enjoyed it. Please do remember to leave a like if you did. Another big thank you to Dave for writing this one for us. Again, please do check out his channel, link will be in the top pinned comment, that would be very much appreciated. A quick thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, stay safe of course, and until next time, happy gaming.